Today we're going to dive in how we at Collector Bank work with our customer journeys and how we work with data in order to enhance the experience within the bank. And if you don't work with the customer experience today in analytics, you will be stressed. I'm sorry for that. And I hope you will do after the presentation. So I have split this presentation into two parts. The first part will be about how we work with the customer journeys. And the next part will be how we have gone from spreadsheets to automatic insights generated by voice. I've been in the industry since late 90s, working in several roles. First as a struggling developer and trial and error developer, then as an impatient visual designer and as an angry project leader. And then the last 8 years I have been running different analytics departments within different organizations. Today I run the CX team as head of customer experience at the Collector Bank. And during my early days as a consultant, and especially as a project leader, I was forced to listen to people's gut feeling. And during a Tuesday, the gut feeling could say yes, and then during a Thursday, the gut feeling said no. So my gut feeling said, leave the room, which I did, and start digging into data to really try to understand the customer behavior in a better way. The future is data, so it's really important that that everything you invest in really needs to make sure that it also pays off, and then you need people that work with data all the time. I think we have students from IHM here, do we? No? They were here yesterday. That's a shame. I will be attending their classroom in 3 weeks, so I will repeat myself. Just because things looks good doesn't mean it really works. And if you don't have any goals, it's bad. This is the search trend for the phrase digital analytics from 2008 to 2019. Around here I understand that, okay, this is something you can earn salary on. And I've been working, this is not my salary increase. Well, it could be, but fortunately not. Well, something happened here though. A parental leave maybe. But this is really huge right now. In 2008, people were like, yeah, data might be interesting. And today there's a complete another attitude about data, which is really good. First, some mandatory slides about Collector Bank. Collector Bank we have our headquarters here in Gothenburg, where we are around 400 people. It was started 20 years ago by Lena Apler, and we are split into two different segments. We have the consumer and the corporate, and within corporate we have factoring and corporate loans, and within consumer we have also the payment solution, in corporate. And consumer we have credit cards, mortgages, and savings, and private loans. So our CX team, our customer experience team, we work mainly with the consumer department, but also the payment department. And something that is really scary, but this is something that's happening right now, is that the customer loyalty is no longer based on price or products, but it's the real experience of the service that we handle that matters. And as today the competition is fierce, you have to do something else than do exactly the same thing that other competitors are doing. And for us, private loans is like electricity or water. You have to do something else than just rate cuts in order to increase loyalty within the bank. As we know, there are 24 million credit cards out in Sweden today. So it's not just enough to have travel insurance on these cards. We have to suppress the expectation of the experience when they become a customer. My son, who's 2.5, he asked me if this is my colleagues at work. And yes, it is. This is the CX team in the same height, as you can see. It's very good. We have people that work as a UX copy, UX designer, researcher. It's scary because she looks exactly like that. A visual designers, and of course product analysts. And to find product analysts today is very hard. I had to look all the way to Minnesota to find one actually, but she's really good, so it was worth it. She's the second native English-speaking girl at work, which is a competition, but yeah. So we work, as I mentioned before, with different segments. These people are sitting both in the channels, like web and app, but also within each product. So we have people that are responsible for the user experience in all these channels. To clarify the roles of the team and also how we as an individual work in relation to the overall goals within the company, we have conducted some objectives for the CX team. And I presented the way of working with OKR 1 year ago to the board of directors. And today we work with OKR within the whole company, which is really good. So the main objectives that we are focusing on right now within CX is to be more, firstly, data informed, that we have the data and could be informed by it. The second one is to be more data driven. We also try to explain the role internally by knowledge sharing, like what is the insights and what do we know. We support and facilitate our product teams to work more insights driven. And also we have customer journeys to make sure that first of all, that they exist and that we use them as a more strategic framework within our teams. At the moment, we are working on a design system to make everything look exactly the same. The problem we had 1 year ago is that if you use the app and then the web, it were completely different user experience, which is bad. So this is something easy to do and something you could start with. And also something that I think is really important is that we do one-on-ones every week, and we try to have a more coaching leadership within the team, but also within the whole organization. So for each quarter, we look at our objectives and our key results, and we try to renew them all the time. And we are happy to celebrate if we manage to do them all, of course. So that's for the teams, and when we speak about the segments, the overall segments, we have a OKR strategy that looks like this. First of all, we have a vision for each and every segment, which is really good, so everyone knows exactly where we're heading. We have some focus areas for the 2 coming years. And then, of course, different products. And all of these products have different objectives. So the thing that we have changed now is that everyone works with the same objectives. So we're trying to organize ourselves within small teams, and where every team have one objective. So, for example, within consumer, it could be increased duration or increased loyalty in the bank, or try to increase conversions in our own channels. And CX and all of the other teams are more of a supporting team to these segments. So we have objectives for each and every product, we have key results, and then we work with different initiatives so we know exactly what to do. So these initiatives could be like defined as problems. So our teams are more like problem-solving teams. One of the first things I did was I changed the letter UX to CX. When we speak about UX, we speak about the user experience within an app or a product. And I saw that there were more work to do, so I changed the whole perspective to look at the complete customer experience. And now we're looking into everything when it comes to how we speak, how the agents speak in the customer service, what kind of information we have on our web, how the carriers look when we send out credit cards, how the invoices look. And we really try to do something more omni. Even though we are a digital niche bank, there are still some offline activities going on. One thing that I've noticed especially when I worked as a freelancer at different startups, is many organizations put a lot of money and a lot of resources into traffic. So they are buying people to come in to the product, and they don't do any optimization at all. So they spend millions and millions of Swedish crowns into something that when the users end up on the product, they're like, no, I'm not going to convert, which is just stupid. Don't do it. You can do both things at the same time, but really try to be better on this one. So One KPI that Lynn, our marketing manager for consumer, is working on is the customer acquisition cost. And we see that when we do optimizations within the products, when we test things and so on, we lower the customer acquisition cost, which is good, of course. When we had a survey that we sent out to all of our customers, and this was a quote from one of the customers, and I can't really blame this person. It's absolutely right. To claim a role today within almost every industry as a pure digital player comes with requirements and expectations, of course. Everything you do and all the customer touch points shouldn't just work, it needs to surpass the expectations. And also there are some well-known conventions on how to create a form or a search field and so on, and use them. Don't try to invent internet all over again. It's bad. There are things to do in a specific way, just do it. When we talk about the user experience, our competitors is not only other niche banks, but it's also this. This is what our customers are living with every day. They use these kind of digital channels, products and apps, of course. So we need to have a user experience that is at least this good or better. And these actors actually sets the standard what's good or not good design today, and it goes really fast. And one thing they also have is that they have moving targets based on how the product is actually used and what the customer's really asking for. And as I mentioned before, private loans is like water or broadband, and in the customer's mind, it doesn't matter where to buy the product from. They just want to buy it to the lowest price. And because of that, we need to put more resources into this and talk more about the customer experience. One historical reason, I think, why many organizations struggle with their customer journeys is that they are too simplified. They are not built on data at all. It's someone's gut feeling, and you look at the categories like before, during, after, and that's not enough. And you think about some pain point that maybe some people in the organization has mentioned. That's not all. You need to use the customer journeys as a strategic framework for everything you do. So everything starts with a customer journey and it ends with a customer journey, okay? So together with the objectives and the journeys, we have these as a guideline, and this is actually the first time that everyone in the organization really understands the customer. I think you, Randy, talked about this yesterday, that we are asking 2 little questions. There are more questions into this, but as you can see, this is a simplified customer journey. But there are several questions that we need to ask, depending on where they are in the journey. And it could be everything from like how they're performing, how is the attribute channel working, what are people actually searching for, why do they choose to contact Collector Bank, what are they saying, why are they choosing us, and like how are our A/B tests performing, and do we see that logged in users are more loyal than the others. So you need to define both the problem and develop the solution together with not just your colleagues, but also the customers. So start by asking the customers exactly what do they want? What do you want them to develop? Maybe start with a transparent backlog so they can vote exactly on what type of functionality you should add into your services. And we always try to test and validate our hypothesis as early as possible in the process. And to do it later will cost you expensive developing hours. So it's better to bring CX to the table as soon as possible. So what we're trying to do is we try to support the development team by asking the right kind of questions in the right time. And there are a lot of why questions going on, of course. And to conduct user testing today, it's also good for our empathy to really try to understand our customers. And we actually force our people within the organization to conduct co-listening at the contact center. And contact center is nothing but a great source of insights. So use that. You can't be stuck in Google Analytics all the time. Try to really listen to what the customers actually are saying. So This is how it could look like. The gender split in this picture is not good, not something that I'm proud of. Within the whole organization, it's much better. But the development team seems to be a lot of guys in it, and we're working on that. But we do regularly user testing, and this is actually a test that we conducted on Collector. So we have, as you can see, a GDPR compliant person up on the TV. And they are actually performing in the test, and we recruit people that are quite similar to our own customers. So they are sitting in one meeting room, and then we show the test in real time to the development team that can take notes and listen to what the customers actually are saying, as long as they go through the test. And during our first 19 years, we conducted one user testing. So we start asking the product specialist, when was the last time you spoke to our customers? And they felt like, well, that never happened. Well, okay, maybe we should start with that. Stop guessing. So by doing this, now we do this every quarter, and by doing this, we have increased engagement within the organization. And we are more customer-centric today than we have been ever before, which is really great. We have Ingrid here, who is our user research lead. She's conducting telephone calls, so she actually is calling our customers and try to understand how they behave and how they become a customer. So she, of all of these 30 calls, she tried to understand and print out the actual customer journey to see how people behave. And at the same time, we have Gustav here, who's a product specialist, who've been taking notes at the same time and try to take these insights directly into the product team. Within Collector, we have a venture capital division, and one of the companies that we have put resources into is Voxel. Has everyone heard of Voxel before? No? You should. What Voxel is doing is that they are taking all of the recorded calls into contact center, and then they are transcribing it into text, and then they could we could see all of the questions in text, and we can see the sentiment score of all the calls. We can see how old people are, what gender, everything. So this is a great resource for our CX team to really try to understand the customers. They can actually search on specific keywords within the tool, so we can see how often they mention the app, for example. And that's one of the insights we had, that we noticed that only 4% of all the agents are mentioning that we have an app. And that defeats the purpose with having a digital presence. Like, we want all the customers, as Klara was speaking about yesterday, we want all of the customers to handle all their tasks in either the logged in experience on web or the application. So if 4 out of 100 calls is mentioning the app, we have a problem. So we have actually changed our way of educating the customer agents after this. So by interviewing our first line support and going through the monthly report from the customer care, we add questions to our Q&A. This is a dashboard. This is not up on our own webpage. And we follow exactly the clicks on the questions up on collector.se. So we have gotten ourselves a more data-driven Q&A actually. And this also gives the marketing team insights about what should we communicate when we do our onboarding of the new customers, and what is our USPs, what should we maybe do product development within. So based on this data and the insights from Voxel, all the web statistics, search behavior on Google, frequent questions, and also all the fantastic reviews on social media, like Trustpilot and Google reviews, we can map all these against functionality within our product. So we have created ourselves a new tasks in our backlog. We use Slack. Slack is nothing but a great tool. We have started building something we call the Book of Insights within Collector Bank. So for each product, we have bullets saying, this is the insight for our credit card. This is something we know about the behavioral and the target group. And also when we learn new stuff, we try to send it out on this channel on Slack all the time. It could be small things. It could also be a larger survey that we have conducted. It's really good to try to share this. And I know I've been working from before. We did newsletters to send out like weekly insights or something. It's a really good way for communicating insights internally. So this is the result of the customer journey that we have for private loan today. This is, as I mentioned before, a strategic tool. So we try to look at this when we do development. So if we know that 30% of the customers leaving us at this time, we can do improvements here in order to make sure that they're still in the bank. So this is something that we print out and put up in the office so everyone can see this and start understanding it. So this was the customer journey. The next part is about reporting. So we'll leave this for now. I know that some analysts do reporting in Excel. That's just the way you're working. But when you present your data, it needs to be, well, it's not that I'm proud of my own keynotes here, but they need to be something like this. So the fine art of telling a narrative and that people understand is really hard. And I see myself as a social analyst, like not conducting social media since the algorithm is changing all the time, but socially in a way that I speak about data so everyone can understand, both to our CEO, but also to the development team. So don't send Excel reports to your colleagues. It's better to present the data, book a meeting, and make them really try to understand. Don't talk about machine learning algorithms or regression analytics. Do it in a way that they understand and they think it's fun, and then they will start asking more questions. So when we do A/B test, for example, we don't just send the results out on Slack. We try to create like infographic slides and present them internally in our collector corner in the entrance to try to build engagement in what we do. This is not something new. Hotjar, we conduct heat maps and A/B testing all the time, but I think it's just a visual great example of how the behavior is. And you could go on with your business and do guesswork, but when you look at this, you understand that you need to do something. We have 2 credit cards within Collector Bank today. We have Easy Living, where we put most of our resources in, and we have Easy Card. You can see where they click. To me, Easy Living sounds like a lifestyle magazine, and apparently to the users as well. So what we did, we changed all of that, and now we have increased the conversions. So it's really important to conduct these kind of studies, and this kind of studies is things that people understand, like it's simple. We also have KPI, we also have KPI dashboards within the organization put up on large TV screen, so everyone can follow the behavior, like the cross sales. This is actually a KPI dashboard for our new logged in experience for all our customers in our bank. And this helps us to fully understand what we need to prioritize and start building insights about the actual customer. We can also see the age category within each product and gender. And as you can see, the savings customers might have completely different ways of using digital channels than payments or credit cards. So we have to personalize the experience based on the customer, not group everyone together. And since we launched our new logged in experience, it's really interesting to see how exactly they behave. So we use Google Analytics to see if they have problems using the platform, if they have problems logging in, for example. And all these screen recordings are sent into Google Analytics. So the screen recording ID is sent into Google Analytics. So we can have the complete journey. We can both see the quantitative data in GA, and we can see the recordings and how they behave within the actual platform, which is really good. I know it's early in the morning. I know it's Friday. And I guess I only get one person's attention at the moment. I know this is scary, but this is really important. Hire people that do statistical programming. This is R or Python. It's really important that we have people learn this. I know there are 30 to 40 people coming out from IH M, and I try to teach them this, like, if you're going to do anything, start learning R. It's free, it's open source. So there's a lot of things we can do here. And something I noticed is when I had questions, especially from the marketing department, all of the time, it's better to do the reporting in a script, and I can just play the script, and I will send the insights directly to Lynn, instead of going copy metrics between each and every tool all the time. So this keeps the time, I can spend more time on communicating the insights instead of doing the actual analytics part. Do we have Klarna in the room? Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? So it's really important, although we have to control our own data, we also try to see what happens within our competitors. So what we do, for example, this is Trustpilot, and this data is easy to scrape data from Trustpilot. So I create a data set based on all these reviews from Trustpilot. I'm not only doing it on Klarna, but all the competitors. And what we can see is actually how they split between the grades. I can even see anomaly if there are specific keywords that are coming up that weren't trending from before. I can see how long the reviews are based on what grade they give. And something that is really interesting, this is from the Spotify app, when I did some iTunes review data mining. But here I can see that I conducted a study with all the text, and I saw if the texts were positive or negative. So if it's negative, it's -1, and if it's positive, it's +1. And this is called sentiment analytics. And as you can see, the attitude in Hungary is not that good. You have to do something. Something has happened here with attitude the last couple of months. So this really helps us to see how other customers are speaking to their banks. 2 slides left. I'm really into the art of automation. So one example of this is that I take data from 2 years back regarding the conversions on our own web page, and with help of Arima forecasting, we do a forecast for this week and how much conversions we're going to do. So based on this, we push it directly to Slack, so Lynn can see it every Monday morning. And based on that, we could adjust the AdWords spend to see if we are reaching our target for this week or not. And also all of the marketing activities we do, we want to make sure that they have an effect. So for each and every conversion, we push them directly into Slack, so we can see exactly what color of the card they've chosen, the amount of the loans, etc. So this is just, you want to go in and out from this channel because there's so many conversions going on at the same time. So we got from sending Excel documents internally to schedule reports, and now we're also exploring another thing with voice-based insights. So today we can speak to Siri and actually ask her what was the forecast for this week, and they will
Good
answer.
morning, Lynn. Here is this week's forecast. Granted private loans, 286. Granted easy living cards, 321. Granted mortgages, 74. Better than last week. You are doing an amazing job.
As always. So we can choose between, this is done with Google Auto Machine Learning, and we can choose between 50 different languages and genders and accents and all that, which is great. So by doing this, I'm not needed anymore. They can just speak things into Siri and they will give them the insights, which is great. So some last takeaways. KYC within banks are really important. Know your customer. Start listening to your customer and really try to, you have a lot of data today. I guess you're not aware of it, but there's a lot of data. So start looking into the data and see what it says. Of course, resources, you need to hire people with the right expertise that know exactly what to do. I have 15 people in my group. I can't spend every day telling them what to do. They have to be specialists in what they do, which they are. And of course, hire a CXO. You need a chief experience officer to sit in the member of the board to represent the customer. It's not enough that you say, well, we have a customer focus, we try focusing on sales. No, that's not right. You need to focus on the customer and the actual experience of the product or the service that you handle. And that's it.